Joe Burrow is a part of the Cincinnati Bengals. That is official. His dad was a regular here on Off the Bench Tuesdays at 8 o'clock. We always love this segment going back and forth with the coach. Now the coach has got a little bit of a different living situation as his youngest son, Joe, who is the number one pick in the NFL draft, has signed multiple endorsement deals, well earned over $1 million over the past couple of months, is now sleeping in his basement.
Yeah.
So just from a parenting standpoint, Coach, how can I get my young 20-year-old to stay at home and be the high collector in the house, be the breadwinner, and become a millionaire before 23? You got any parenting tips for me?
Well, I don't know if that happened. Maybe you could get more money. We don't really see all that money, so we still spend our money at the grocery store and that sort of thing. But that's it's pretty amazing. I mean, we never thought we'd have that opportunity again to spend that much time with Joe. It really hasn't happened since for 5 years or so, back when he was in high school. So we're enjoying it. He's not, I'm sure, but for mom and dad, it's a good thing.
We talked to Coach O 30 minutes ago, and things are starting to become a little bit closer to normal over at LSU football. How about for the number one pick? Is he starting to kind of find his way and get and find ways to keep himself in shape?
Yeah, he does a good job of finding different places to throw with his high school teammates, two of them, and so it's the same two or three times a week. So that keeps keeps it limited to how many people are involved, and so that's a good thing. They started minicamp yesterday, which means they would normally be in Cincinnati, I believe. Actually working out, going through plays and installing the playbook, but now minicamp basically involves 3 or 4 hours a day with the coaches on Zoom and with the other. I think this is the first week that the actual veterans have been on the conference calls with them. So it's a challenge, but he enjoys throwing with his two high school teammates. They're the starting tight ends with the Bobcats. We recruited them Joe's senior year, and they're now tight ends. They were receivers back then, but they're 250-pound guys now.
Wow.
Yeah, the beer will do that to you, Jimmy. It's so crazy, Jimmy. It feels like y'all have had such a fairy tale fall, and now it continues to where after your son has all this success, you randomly get to spend this extra time with him. So take me back to draft night. Instead of going to the Vegas, he's there with y'all on the couch, and you knew it was coming, right? You knew it was coming, but what did it feel like, or what went through your body when the call came through, like when it actually happened?
Well, just to be able to experience that in our own house, in our own living room, on the couch that Joe and his mom Robin and I spent just countless hours on. I mean, it was pretty amazing. We knew what was happening, but just to be there and hear his name called as the number one draft pick in the NFL draft was it really was a dream come true. I mean, we always dreamed of him playing in the NFL. I'm not sure any of them ever included being drafted number one, but once again, just a credit to LSU and what those guys accomplished, and they all really were feeding off of each other during the course of the year, and that allowed all those guys to really get drafted where they did. Again, an amazing story, but yeah, that was a pretty unbelievable night. And then shortly after that, the parade started around our neighborhood with people honking horns.
Wow.
And Joe had interviews, so I think they were hoping he would come out and maybe make an appearance, but that didn't happen.
So he did make an appearance on television, though, and one of the things that stood out was that beautiful number 9 chain that I think Lil Boosie gave him. When are you getting your chain? Okay, $36 million guaranteed. When does Jimmy Burrow get his chain?
Well, that's not my style. I'm not sure it is Joe's, but he's developed a kind of likeness for that. It is cool. I saw it once on the internet before I ever really saw it in person, and I said, "You're spending your money on that kind of jewelry now." And he kind of told me the story, but he likes it, and the number 9 is a cool thing, and he's going to continue number 9.
Coach, what was the lead up to being the number 1 pick? I mean, we've heard crazy stories being over the Senior Bowl that teams will hire private investigators to follow people on planes, to get on to interviews, to see what they do in the airport, to see what time they show up, all this types of stuff. You've got the number 1 pick, and he's been the number 1 pick since about week 8 of the college football season, it feels like. What was the lead up that time and leading up to the draft like for you and your family?
I think it was a little different just because it was almost a foregone conclusion maybe that the Bengals would draft him. So I'm not sure he had that experience with 10 to 15 to 20 teams really digging into Joe and his past and history. Even at the combine, I don't think he had over maybe 4 or 5 at the most interviews. So I don't think he got he got scrutinized as much as a lot of people by so many different teams. I mean, when you don't know if you're going to draft somebody or not, I mean, there's 32 teams that were in that position with some people, but it was pretty much the Bengals, and there were a few teams. I mean, I won't get into who they were, but you can kind of figure it out by the teams that did draft quarterbacks. So it is a process, and fortunately, I didn't think there were any skeletons in Joe's closet, so apparently they weren't.
Were you prepared for that? You've been in football for over 40 years, around football. I mean, you know the landscape of the NFL and the draft, but were you and your family prepared for the attention and I guess that type of attention leading up to it?
No, not really. I mean, I guess LSU and the media blitz during the Heisman and the national championship that prepared us somewhat, but it's a different, really group of people involved when you get to the NFL. I mean, the NFL Network, the national media, maybe a little more that are involved in the NFL. So that was different. And then once again, just the whole experience of having to set up cameras. Thank goodness for Robin setting those up for us, and it worked. There was only one little hitch in the whole program, and that was Robin and I were supposed to be on there live shortly after Joe got drafted, and after he had a few minutes with the media, but we couldn't get that one to work. Hey, maybe that was for the best anyway. And, they needed to be focused on Joe, and he got back on there and really had 2 to 3 hours, I think, of interviews before it was all over, and it seemed to work.
Yeah, I mean, it's just got to be so crazy for you, Coach. What comes next for you, Coach? I know that I think when we talked to you in the past, you're in coaching for so long. Are you going to remain out? Are you going to go to Bengals games this year? Like, what comes next for the fam?
Well, there's no plans to get back in coaching. I think anybody would say never say never, but it's not in the plans. I'm not looking for a job, and we're happy to be so close to Cincinnati, 2.5 hours. I can probably be in my seat parked in less than 3. So we'll be going to every game. The other good thing about playing in Cincinnati in the conference, I mean, there's so many close games. Pittsburgh is 3 hours or so away. Cleveland 3 to 3.5, and so there'll be opportunities for it to be much easier to get to Joe's games now than in Baton Rouge. But I still do a few radio shows every now and then. Not sometimes I limit it because there's still a lot of people that call to get me on and to get Robin on, and for sure Joe's pretty much goes through his marketing people now because he got a little overwhelming.
Yeah, makes
I was
sense.
fielding a lot of those calls, and I don't like to say no, so it's easy for Joe. So I make sure now that his marketing people say no a lot for a lot of the requests for Joe. But just I hope everything gets back to normal. I mean,
Yeah.
Maybe I can go to Cincinnati like I used to go to Baton Rouge and hang out a few days. I know their defensive coordinator, Lou Anaruno, and he said that I could come over and hang out on the defensive side, and that would be cool if we can ever get back to normal.
That will be cool. We appreciate you always saying yes to us and coming on with us here on Off the Bench, man. Coach O, that last one we'll get you back out of here. Bruce Feldman is writing a book on Coach O right now. I believe it's called Flip the Script. Have you been approached on something like that?
We've had some people reach out to for Joe to be involved right in a book. Right now he chooses not to. I've talked to a couple of those people that have reached out for to really do one about the season, and there'll probably come a time for it at some point, and it'd be great to relive that experience as a parent and as a fan of that whole season. And one of these days we'll get that done.
For sure.
If you ever write your own book, Jimmy, you got to have you doing the horns down on the cover.
Well, it seems to continue to appear on the internet ever so often. So the one thing about social media, once it's there, it's there for life. So and it wasn't like I was doing that for about 10 times
Nope.
during the game. I think it was early in the whole thing, and I got tired of the Texas fans kind of harassing everybody. So I just threw the horns down the sign, and it went everywhere. It still does.
Yes, indeed.
I love it. It's one of my favorite moments of the season.
Tell Miss Robin and the crew hello. It's great to hear from you. We'll be checking back in. Thank you, Coach.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me on. Have a good day.
Yes,
Always.
sir. You too.
There he is, Coach Jimmy Burrow, checking in from the Midwest this morning, talking about his son Joe getting prepared.
Was the horns down pregame? I almost feel like it was pregame. Maybe it was just at the very beginning.
Well, the one that caught him was after Jefferson's touchdown. That's the one that lives on.
No, I thought it was. I thought no. It's like more chill. He's like sitting down.
Pregame.
Yeah, there it is.
There it is.
He's sitting down. He's just like screw y'all, guys. Whatever. No, he's throwing up the L's after the big 3rd and 17 and pointing to his Burrow jersey. I mean, look at that. That's legendary.